And I have actually 2-starred my Cerberus now. So watch the DPS chart as she goes. And you can see the splash damage freezing effect. I guess you could almost call this build the fire and ice build. G'day, Josh here with another Chess Rush video, playing a turbo duo game with Jetling in this one, and it's going to be another community build. This one is actually from Escanor from the official Discord server, and it's a build based all around Cerberus, who is of course one of the strongest heroes in the current meta. She's a 4-cost demon hunter. She's a featured hero, so you will need to use featured heroes in this build. And to max her out, we're going to be using 4 demons to improve the amount of splash damage that she does, and also 4 undead to get through as much armor as possible. And there'll be some various other combos in the build as well. We're starting off just collecting pieces like any build, seeing what we can get. So let's jump through to round 3, our first PvP round, where we've got a couple of 2-star heroes and a couple of cyborgs on the board. It's worth noting I haven't yet selected a featured hero set. I end up doing that just before I get to level 6, and the purpose of that is the only featured heroes I need in this build, or the only one I really actually need is Cerberus, but I also like to get the Undead Mage if I can, one of the legendaries. But Cerberus obviously is a must in this build. She's a 4-cost hero. She will not show up in the shop before level 6. So to maximize the chances I have of finding the other heroes that I need that are 1, 2, or 3 costs, I don't use featured heroes until I get to level 6, or just before I get there, so the first level 6 shop might contain her. Sometimes though that means you will forget, so you have to make sure you don't forget, or just set it from the start of the game. Sometimes just setting the featured heroes from the start of the game is the safer option. So it's been a pretty good start for us. Pretty defensive, 3 warriors, 2 cyborgs. We've also got a fair bit of damage coming out of Miss Supersonic and Famine as well. Let's see how this battle does for us. Looking favourable in terms of the 2-star matchups. Do I continue the early win streak? It is definitely looking to be that way. And there we go. So obviously, to complete this build, you're going to be collecting basically any demon that you find, and basically any undead that you find along the way. And we're looking very, very nice at this stage. One of the key items, like in any turbo build, is the icicle bow, especially on a demon like Cerberus that is doing splash damage at a high rate of fire. It just means that you're freezing so many enemy heroes, which renders them basically useless. While they're frozen, they cannot do anything except take damage. And we're looking very, very solid early. Haven't really found too many demons or too many undeads just yet. I've got the Famine and the Glutton on the board, and no, sorry, I've got the Famine and the Misfortune on the board. I don't have Glutton yet. He will be one of the heroes I use in this build. I've also got Calamity there, who will be my 4th, if I can find Glutton, my 4th undead. It's not super important to get 4 undead out too early. I would prioritize the 4 demon. Having 2 undead is very good for most of the early and mid game. 4 undead is fantastic for that late game. Round 8, how are we looking? Build hasn't really changed too much. Unfortunately, our Bangar gets frozen for the start of that battle. We're still on that win streak, and we're still looking very, very strong. We got pretty lucky with 2 stars. Some of these 2 stars, like Miss Supersonic, won't be in my end game build, but like any turbo game, just use 2-star heroes early to get those win streaks. So we're looking very, very good actually. We've got 2 Warlock on the board now as well, with one of our other demons in Nether Prince down the bottom right hand corner. And our win streak is going to continue. We're the only player at this stage that has still not lost any HP, and things are looking very, very good for us. Round 11. Now we've got a couple of demons on the board. We've found Cerberus. There she is in that back corner. So we're looking very, very nice on the way to our endgame build. And already at a 1-star, she's climbing up that DPS chart. She's top 4 at the moment. Actually, top 5 ends up that round being, but she's still, once we 2-star her, it's going to be awesome. And I'm just collecting other demons at this stage. There are demons that you would rather use if you can get them, but it just depends on what you get, what you're able to 2-star. Any of them are totally fine. If you use Nether Prince, it gives you Warlock with Misfortunes. That's a really nice one to use. Alright, round 13. How we're looking? Very, very similar at this stage. Not too many changes between. And lots of damage coming out of that 1-star Cerberus as well as that 2-star Famine. Unfortunately, we're running into that Dragoon doing splash damage, but we do get the win there and we remain undefeated. Even though we haven't completed our build yet, things are looking very, very good for us. And sometimes you just have games that things work out very well. We do, of course, have that Glutton on the board at this stage as well, which is why we have 3 undead. And in fact, I was able to get to level 9 before the round 14 battle and get Calamity on the board. So we do actually have 4 undead now, which means that there's a lot of armor reduction happening and a lot of damage going straight through to enemies' health totals. And once again, Cerberus is just absolutely shredding. We've got some mana items on her now as well, so her ability is firing off very, very quickly as we get through to the round 16 battle. Still needing to get to level 10 and find another demon so we can run our 4 demon build. Now, ideally, you want to find the Executioner, who is of course a legendary, and that enables you to run both a demon and a warrior, which makes it very easy to run 3 warriors with this build as well. As we thankfully freeze that 3-star Miss Supersonic into oblivion and get a pretty nice win there. I'm also... I was for a period running, 2 famines on the board, but now I've found another demon and I've been able to get to level 10 and I've now got essentially the full build. 4 undead, 4 demon, 3 warrior and 2 warlock. I will of course end up getting rid of Steel Fist. Hopefully I can find Executioner and then I can replace one of these 2 demons with, so essentially that's 1 spot that I need to take up 2 spots with at the moment, but it all comes down to finding that legendary, which you're not guaranteed to do. But if you can find Executioner, then this is actually just a 9 hero build. But if you can't find Executioner, it's a 10 hero build. So it depends on how lucky you are. It's also worth upgrading Calamity to the Dark Mage if you can find him, but once again, it's another legendary. And if you can find those legendaries, you can round out the final spot, spot number 10, with Shakaraka, who's one of the best legendaries in the game right now. So the top end of this build, if you get lucky enough with the pieces, is very powerful and does run 3 legendaries. But as you will see, as this game unfolds and I continue to remain undefeated, I get very unlucky with the legendaries that I find, but the build still does incredibly well. So it doesn't rely on those legendaries. You can work around them and you can get the wins. Unfortunately though, this round is not one of them. And we do take our first loss, but we still don't have a lot of our top end 2-star. We don't have a 2-star Cerberus, we don't have a 2-star Nether Prince, and we don't have a 2-star Lucifer, and obviously we haven't found any of those legendaries just yet. It was that 3 Dragon, 3 Assassin, 2 Goblin build that we just ran into. So this game we end up competing with 2, I believe that guy ends up getting 4 Goblins, and so both our opponents are running 4 Goblin builds, which are very much the meta at the moment as I'm just fiddling around with my positioning. Still running that Steel Fist just for the 3 warrior, because I have not been able to find that Executioner. Let's jump into the round 19 battle. And this is a very, very top heavy cyborg build. All 3 of his 1-cost cyborgs are 3-starred. How do we do? Look at the absolute burning that all of our enemies are facing. So we're going to have a look at items. Let's go through to round 21 and our item placement. It is, of course, the Nether Prince's ability that is setting all of the enemies on fire using that Scorching Staff. Also very good on Shakaraka, as I've mentioned in other videos. And look at that, I found myself a short bow as well. So that will enable me, once I get another blacksmith's tool, to upgrade to another icicle bow, which is fantastic. Very, very strong. Let's jump into this battle. And I have actually 2-starred my Cerberus now. So watch the DPS chart as she goes. And you can see the splash damage freezing effect. I guess you could almost call this build the fire and ice build, as I have also No, sorry, that was my enemy's Shakaraka. I did not find a Shakaraka. I'm not sure why I thought that for a second. But I don't think Escanor would mind me calling this the Fire and Ice build, given that you're using demons that can set ablaze enemy heroes, and then you're also trying to run the best item in the current meta, the Icicle Bow, to freeze heroes or enemy heroes. So this Undead Demon Fire and Ice builds can be very, very strong. And if we have a look, I still haven't found any legendaries. None of the 3 legendaries this build uses I have been able to obtain. I've got the lowest value by a long shot, and this build is still dominating. So it is a very, very fun build that can compete quite well with the Goblin meta at the moment. And look at this. The freezing, setting frozen heroes on fire doesn't make a lot of sense logically, but look how effective it is. And Jetling deals the final blow to our final opponent, and we end up winning that one comfortably with a very, very fun build. Let's have a look at it in here. This is the Undead Demon Warrior build. You can see there that I do have in this build Executioner, Shakaraka, and the Dark Mage, but you don't need any of the 3 to pull the build off. Incredibly fun build to use. Thank you, Escanor, for sharing this. Let me know what you think of this build in the comments down below. How broken is Cerberus? Leave your feedback. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, so you don't miss out on any of my future content. And until next time, I'll see you later.